Hey guys, I'm Al Washington, and welcome to my Mystical Loves podcast. I'm here with Sephera Giron. She is an author as well as a freelance editor for one of her newest books that we're going to talk about today, the Lizzie Borden House Anthology. And I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Sephera if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, yes, I'm Sephra, and I've been a writer, a horror writer, really, for hundreds of years, it seems. That's why the skulls are, all my victims piling up. Yeah, I live in Toronto. I'm part of the Horror Writers Association. I recently became a trustee on the board. And yeah, I'm excited to do this interview.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sephora. I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So my first question is, what started the Lizzie Borden House Anthology book? And for those of you who don't know, the Lizzie Borden is one of the most popular murder cases since the 19th century and to this day. She was an American woman who was accused and acquitted of the 1892 axe murderers of her father, Andrew Bowden, as well as her stepmother, Abby Bowden, and in Fall, Massachusetts. And it drew a lot of media attention in this country and again, still to this day. So, Sephora, what inspired you to collaborate with other very good authors for the anthology book?
Well, it's a long, winding, weavy story, as most of these things are. And the short version is that the publisher, Riverdale Avenue Books, Lori Perkins, she knows my fascination with the house. And she approached me if I wanted to edit a book of an anthology of stories for um, her publishing company and in conjunction with the actual Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast. So my relationship with the house started way back in the early 2000s. I go to this, well, I we always used to go to this convention called Nikon, which was in Rhode Island, and it was like summer camp for horror writers, and people like Peter Straub and all these famous people come, and you wear t-shirts and shorts and none of the black corsets, and so, like it's
Right.
so much fun. So that took place on a college campus, which is very close to Fall River. You could drive to Fall River in about 20 minutes. So one of my friends, Lisa Minetti, was always trying to get people to go over to the Lizzie Borden house because she was completely fascinated with the story.
Mhm.
So one year when I went to Nikon, I was driving from Canada. I live in Toronto, and I was driving, and my car broke down
Oh,
on the way
wow.
to on the way to
Uh,
Nikon.
Convenience.
Yeah, actually, even worse. I'd stopped at Salem. I
Oh,
was waiting
wow.
out in Salem for a couple hours before I was heading on to Nikon, and
Right.
then I got stuck in Boston traffic, and then my transmission cap blew out. I saw it bouncing down the road in my rearview mirror. My car instantly lost power. But and if any of you have driven in New England, especially like back in 2002 or so, I don't remember the exact year. There's like stretches of nothing, like it's just woods, like there's nothing.
Oh,
But
wow.
somehow, when my transmission cap blew off, I was right by an exit, and so I ended up, and it was on a hill, so I rolled down the hill because I had no power, and it rolled right into a gas station. So any, so that was really cool. And so then, because I had CAA, I called them and they towed me to Nikon. So basically, I was trapped.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
so we went through the whole the whole convention. That was fine. But then the convention's over, and it's like I got no car because it's like Rhode Island on the weekend, New England. No one's working on the weekend. It's New England. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I gotta wait till Monday. And so that was the first year Lisa had decided she wanted to have an overnight at the Lizzie Borden. So she kept bothering me because no one ever I didn't know till a few years later that that actually had been the very first time for everyone.
Mhm.
So it's like I got nowhere to go. So I went along with them to the Lizzie Borden house. And at that was 2 owners ago. So that owner, the house was still it didn't have air conditioning. It was very much how it was in the early 30s, 40s. Like it really felt like you were walking into 1940 or something. And we know that, as you stated, the case happened long before then. And when you walk into the house, at least for me that time, I didn't really, even though, we're all horror writers and all that, but who
Right.
really believes and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Right.
felt, I just felt like, just was like this wall of pain and anxiety. And it was just so bizarre. I'd never felt anything like it the minute I walked into the house. And then I was kind of, and I didn't know anything about the story, the Lizzie. I just knew the nursery rhyme. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her,
Yeah.
that. And I just knew she killed her parents. That's all I knew. And so I was walking through the house, and then I went up to the top floor, and I was like, there's children here. And like, I'm not psychic. Like, I know I am a tarot card reader and all that, but I don't consider myself psychic at all. But I
Uh-huh.
had these flashes of children playing and stuff. So anyways, we did the tour. We learned a lot more. And I've been back to the house many, many times, stayed overnight. It's terrifying. I've never really slept. But that first visit, I did find out, which more people know about now too. The house next door was related to the Bordens. And that mother had some children, and she had brutal postpartum depression, and she actually
Wow.
drowned her children in the well and herself. So the idea is that these children come and play at the Lizzie Borden house, and people have reported toys and balls bouncing and things happening. And I knew nothing about that when I was like, "There's children here," you know. Lizzie and her sister, they never had children, and yeah, so it's all been so fascinating. Then an owner after that came. Her name was Leanne Wilbur, and she's the one we dealt mostly with our visits when would
Mhm.
and we didn't go every year. Like some years Lisa didn't go, some years I didn't go. But this was usually, and it was always kind of hilarious because no matter how many people would sign up, it usually ended up to be 13 that would be at the house.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And then one of our friends, Corrine, she had a podcast about ghosts and seances and stuff. So we'd do live shows from the house and do tarot readings and stuff. And Lisa, because Lisa Minetti and I both were tarot card readers, so we're reading, did Lizzie do it? And people would call in and stuff. So like there's a huge, I know it's a simple question, but it kind of goes into this big long thing, which Lori, the publisher, also goes to Nikon, but she'd never gone to any of these retreats, but she knew they happened.
Uh-huh.
And so the very last time I actually stayed overnight at the house was 4 or 5 years ago. And Nikon's moved. It's not in Rhode Island anymore. So there's never going to be this thing again.
Okay.
So that very last time, everything was kind of fucked up. Are we allowed to swear? I don't
Yes, of course. Yes, let it out.
know.
Yes. You can curse. Absolutely. Let it out.
So it was like a very bizarre time. Lisa had forgotten to make the reservation. We hadn't really collected people. So we only had part of the house because, like, we like to rent out the whole house and then you had the run of the house all night and you're running and screaming and all that. Um, so we had part of the house and it was just Lisa, Corrine de Winter, who's a poet, Dennis Cummings, and myself, who were there to stay over at the house. And then
Mhm.
Leanne owned it still. And when Leanne bought the house, she put in air conditioning. She built the barn in the back to replicate how it used to look back in Lizzie's day and did a lot of remodeling. And so that went over a few years. And so
Mhm.
that very last time, it was just us. And then, and Lisa, oh yeah, and then the following year, Lisa, on the way to Nikon, got in a car crash and stuff. So we were supposed to go to the house, but she had forgotten to make a reservation. The house was full, so no one got to go to the house.
Uh-huh.
And right after the last time we went, that little group of people went to the house, Dennis died a few months later of cancer, and I didn't even know he had cancer. And then the year of the car crash, then after Lisa had her car crash, then her house caught on fire. And then a few months later, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and then she died.
God.
And she was one of my best friends, so I'm still like, oh, it's really upsetting. And then a year later, almost to the day,
Mm-hmm.
Corrine died. And then, and also around, and then Leanne sold the house to the people that own it now.
Okay.
Um, and there also was a cat that hung out at the house. He was Max Shrek, and he was like 25 years old. He died too, but that wasn't as unusual because he was like a really, really old cat. And then a week after Leanne sold the house to the new people, she
Hmm.
was setting up her new house and she was in her mid 50s. She died. So I'm final girl.
Oh God, knock on wood. Let's hope. Oh my God.
Ugh.
Okay. Wow.
Knock wood for sure.
Yeah.
And so it's weird and creepy and kind of terrifying. So when you see the anthology, I did dedicate the book to Lisa Minetti. And one of the authors, Denise Dumars, dedicated her story to Corinne de Winter, because we were all really close. We're all horror writers. We all
Yeah.
knew everyone. And so anyway, so everyone's dead, and so Lori, said, "Do you want to do an anthology?" And I thought, yeah, that'd be a nice remembrance for Lisa, because Lisa had always wanted to do a collection. And me and Lisa and several other people, we have written stories related to Lizzie Borden over the years. How can you not? You're in this
Right,
creepy
right.
house. So yeah, that's kind of how like how I got interconnected with this house, and how the anthology came about. And yeah, so then I put out a call for about a year, for people, if you want to be in this anthology, send me stories. And then I went from there, and curated the stories, and then the book came out a couple months ago. So
Nice. And I don't know, with certain things we're just not meant to touch. That's so crazy. I'm very sorry. God rest their souls for those who are no longer with us. So I'm very sorry
yeah,
to hear about that. But
it's
you
so
mentioned,
sad. They were
I,
all so
yeah, I
young. They were all young, like
don't know if it
in
was cursed or
50s,
something. I'm
50s,
very,
60s.
God bless you. I'm very sorry to hear about that. I don't know about like, the curse. I don't want to jinx it, but wow, God bless them, and definitely God bless you too. Knock on wood. Let's
Yeah,
definitely hope
yeah.
nothing happens. But you mentioned a little earlier about Salem. I haven't technically been in Salem. I went to Martha's Vineyard. I passed through it. I On a side note, I saw like on the highway when I was a teenager, my mom we drove up kind of we went to Martha's Vineyard for the summer, but I saw
Nice.
on the highway there's some witches like on the highway like to Salem. That scared the hell out of me. No, it was kind of like witch pictures they had like on the highway like to
Oh,
Salem. I don't know if
cool.
you saw that. Have you
Those
you
are
didn't see
great.
it? Yeah, seriously, I saw those, and I don't know if they're still up there now, but it's been like years. Again, this is since I was a teenager. You didn't see any like witch pictures or anything like onto Salem or to Salem.
I don't recall, but that was so
Mhm.
long ago. And
Right.
I've been to Salem, I think, 3 times over the years. My second marriage, my honeymoon was out. We actually spent on our way to Nikon, me and that husband.
Oh
We
wow.
stayed at the Nathaniel Hawthorne Hotel, a famous writer,
Oh
wrote
nice. The House of Seven Gables, right?
Scarlet. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we stayed at the hotel. That was haunted too.
Oh
Um, there was like, I'd heard it was haunted, but again, you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, and
my God.
so my husband was, we were both getting ready to go out for the day or whatever, and he was talking to me, and then like I kind of saw him walk by, but then when I was in the bathroom or something, I can't quite remember, and then when I came out, he wasn't anywhere where that was. I said, "What?" And I was continuing the conversation. He's like, "What are you talking about? I've been sitting on this bed reading this." It's like,
Wow.
so I saw a ghost or something happening in that hotel. That was crazy too. Yeah.
I
Um,
I've not experienced
but
it yet. I heard it was haunted.
yeah. And then so in actual Salem, yeah, there's witches, there's little
Right.
witchy shops, there's crystals, and you can get tarot readings, or and there's like the museums of torture, um, and plaques about the witches that were hung. And
Right.
the one year, I think it was the year with that husband, who's an ex-husband now, um, did a tour of the Peabody Museum,
Mm-hmm.
which is in Salem as well. Lots of art and interesting historical relics of what happened. Oh, but to get back to the Lizzie Borden thing, no one's ever found the murder weapon, right?
Ain't that so? Oh wow. Isn't that
I don't
something?
know if you know that. That was just think. Let's I'm going back to that.
No, I
Thinking of
did not.
museums and all the cool things I saw. Then I was thinking, yeah, I went to there is a little Fall River Museum in
Right.
Fall River.
Right. The bed and breakfast or something, right? With a
Well, the Lizzie Borden House, that's the bed and breakfast.
okay.
But there
Right.
is actually a historical society down the road that has some artifacts as well. It's
Uh-huh.
not part of the house and all that. And then they had a little axe or hatchet or something, and they're saying like it's a replica, but no one really knows what she killed her parents with. And so when you're reading this anthology, um, I let people just do what they want. So the
Uh-huh.
anthology itself is a mixture of um historical crime, horror, science fiction. Like, so there's stuff that's just way out there with our imaginations, and there's stuff that's more kind of true. And
Yes.
And so the few times, every time we stayed at the house, would have the little tour guide take us through and tell us all the stuff. And every tour guide has their own interpretation,
Exactly. Yeah.
what they think has happened. And but the thing is, the very first night I was at the house, that tour guide told us they thought it was a poker, the fireplace poker
Huh.
she
Okay.
smashed their heads in with.
Right.
'Cause they both, were smashed in the head. And that so you figure that's why she got off, because they figured a woman wouldn't have the strength because it's back in the day, right? So you haven't seen the PMSers, right? Yeah.
Well,
They
yeah,
said
and that's
women
what.
don't have the strength to crack someone's head open with anything.
Well, yeah, and that's the reason why I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know because the 19th century to me feels like more quote unquote not high society, like everything was more taboo. And like you said, mentioned that a woman couldn't do that. I think that's probably why they blew it up with the media and everything else. Like, wow, a woman, what serial killer? So yeah, I heard different
Mm,
stories about how she killed her dad when he was coming back in the house, and her stepmom wasn't she doing laundry or something when she got killed,
hmm
or like hit over the head
hmm
or with an axe?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yep. And it wasn't like 40 whacks or whatever, like the nursery rhyme. There's way less whacks, but just
Oh,
still like 6 or 7, I guess, a lot. Yeah, because the story, if people don't know of what happened that day, is Andrew Borden, the father. He was a bit of a, and I don't like to speak badly of Andrew Borden, but
right.
because you, especially in the house, you can feel him there. I think Abby and Andrew are in the house. I've never felt Lizzie in the house. I think she's off on her thing. So she went to a different house when they, anyways, I'll get to that in a minute.
Oh yeah.
So the story with the house, or what happened that day, was that, so the father's kind of a cheapskate, and Lizzie and her sister had other jobs. Like Lizzie was a Sunday school teacher. And then a couple of the tour people told me that Lizzie, and other people say it's not true, but
Right.
here's a theory,
Okay.
that Lizzie was that person who would go around, tell the women in town and collect their sanitary products, and then she'd wash them in the basement, even though she's the daughter of the richest man in town.
Oh my
He was he was a skinflint. They had no refrigeration. They had, I don't know if they had electricity or not, but yeah, it's really gross. So the idea is that she has all these bloody rags in the basement, right? So if you think of motivation, because she and her sister were pissed off that dad was going to leave a lot of his fortune to the new wife who they hated.
right.
And so what happened is there's no refrigeration, so they're all eating this mutton stew. And dad is a skinflint. So he's like, you're eating this stew till it's gone. So they're on their third day of eating stew that has not been like it's mutton stew. Like if you go there, you can reenact the mutton stew or whatever. And it's not been refrigerated for 3 days in the August heat. Because don't forget, this is August the 4th. And I've been to Fall River usually in July, and it's friggin' hot and gross. And
Oh.
it's that New England sweaty heat. Not, so everyone's losing their minds anyways, without eating, getting food poisoning.
Mhm.
So the thought is that the father was feeling sick from food poisoning. So he came home. So whoever killed Abby had already killed her. So she was, like you said, she's doing laundry. You can see the room where she was axed in the spot, and we've
Right.
all taken
Right.
pictures lying in the spot, and all that. And and so she was axed. But so the theory is that maybe Abby was just supposed to be killed, and possibly not the father. But the father came home from work around 11 in the morning because
Uh-huh.
he was feeling literally shitty from this mutton stew that's
Right.
rotten in
Exactly.
his
Yeah.
stomach. So he lies on the couch, and then he gets whacked in the head by
Hmm.
whoever. And
Right.
if you've
Right.
ever been to the house, there's no real hallways. I know in all the movies, there's like all these hallways and it's all gothic, but the house is really small and there's no hallways. There's no place to hide. So this is why it's such an intriguing, bizarre murder, because people getting axed in the head, it probably isn't a quiet thing. People are probably screaming, the skulls are being smashed. And if there's people in the house, like the maid, like Bridget the maid or whoever, like they would hear them, you know.
Right.
So it's very fascinating. So yeah, so when the deaths came, and then there's the story of Lizzie burning a dress and all this.
Yeah.
So when the cops came looking for the murder weapon, the theory from these couple of tour guides is that they didn't go through the bloody rags in the basement because that's
Wow.
women's stuff. So the theory is, a theory is that the axe or the hatchet or the poker was hidden in those rags, and then later was able to hide it or dispose of it or whatever. So that's a theory. No one knows. Um, no one's even sure if Lizzie herself did it. There's theories that the maid did it, the uncle did it. A lot of people hated Andrew Borden because he was an asshole, so anyone could have done it.
Right. And the maid disappeared, correct?
Yeah,
Supposedly I
so I
read.
was just gonna say, so then, but suddenly this little Irish maid suddenly had money to go on a
Interesting.
trip, and bye-bye.
Exactly. That's something, man. That case, I definitely read about it, and I can't definitely wait to finish reading the book. But on another note, did you hear about the upcoming series for Monster for Netflix, the Lady Bowden story? I wanted to
Yeah.
bring that up to you. Charlie, if I don't want to pronounce his name incorrectly, Charlie Hunnam, who did a bang up, beautiful job playing Ed Gain in the latest series of Monster. I'm definitely looking forward to the Lizzie Bowden one. He's playing the
Yeah.
father. Did you hear about that? He's playing
Oh, I didn't
Andrew.
know he's playing Andrew.
Yes.
Oh, cool
I
beans.
I can't wait. Besides him being cute, but no, he did a beautiful bang up job. I saw him on Sons of Anarchy, and then he switched over to that. I was like, wow, beautiful. Anyway, it's supposed to
Yeah.
be out next fall of next year. So I didn't know
Yeah.
what your thoughts on that. What do you think about like
Oh, I'm
excited?
excited. I can't wait. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
to see all the different things. The movie with Elizabeth Montgomery millions of years ago,
Ah, I
her
didn't see
dress
that.
is still in the house. Um,
Really?
yeah, they have it up in the room where Abby was murdered. There's a mannequin. Oh my God, those mannequins are terrifying. There's a mannequin with the dress that one of the dresses that Elizabeth Montgomery wore in the movie, and so it has a little tag on Elizabeth Montgomery wore this dress. Yeah, it's kind
Oh,
of cool.
interesting. I
So
didn't
she played Lizzie in one version. Yeah, there's a lot of versions. Yeah.
exactly. I heard it's, I think it's on Amazon Prime. I haven't seen it yet. I definitely want to check it out. I did love her in Bewitched. I do need to check that out. And then I haven't been to Salem yet, so I definitely want to be there and actually check out the museum for the Lizzie Bowden for that. So hopefully in the future I can do that. But I
Yeah,
want
the museum for Lizzie isn't in Salem, it's in
right,
Fall River. Yeah.
right, my bad. So, yeah, in Fall Rivers.
Yeah.
I would like to eventually go there
Yeah.
one
I
day.
think they're
Yeah.
about an hour apart, maybe an hour and a half, like if you're driving. I think, yeah, it's doable.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. I definitely that's on my wish list to do that.
Yeah, a
So
bucket list.
but I wanted to ask you, Sephora, on your forward in the book, in the anthology book, because you mentioned the nursery rhyme, and I wanted to go ahead and quickly just say it. So the nursery rhyme in the beginning of the forward, in the book, it's Lizzie Bowden took an axe. She gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she has done, she gave her father 41. And you said it wasn't, she didn't whack his ass 40 times. You said that's incorrect. So,
Yeah, say there's forensics of the skulls and stuff. And actually in the house, when I was there, I don't know, I've never been since the new owners took it over, but I've seen pictures, they've changed a few things. But when I was there, there's like a cabinet with replicas of the skulls and how the axe hit and
wow.
photographs. Yeah, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was 7 or 8 times she did that. 40 is a lot. Yeah.
Damn, who came up with 40 then? It's
I
still a
think it
good
just
rhyme.
sounded fun in a rhyme. I don't know. I don't know who.
I thought it was true. Okay, I guess not.
So
Well,
did
it
I
still
till I went there. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was true too. I'm like, "Ah, you're mad, man."
seriously, damn, she stuck around. Well, it still sounds good in the rhyme anyway. But okay,
Yeah, it
I love
does.
that part in the beginning of the book. But how do
Yeah.
you feel about entering the anthology in one of the most highly respected awards, the Bram Stoker Awards? Again, for those who don't know, it is one of the highly respected awards in the dark horror fantasy worlds. What are your thoughts about entering
Yeah.
that?
I really felt like I wanted the authors to be recognized for the hard work they did
Right.
for writing the stories, and so I really felt like I should enter it into the award system and see what happens. There's a lot of amazing books it's up against, so who knows?
Yeah.
But you can't you don't win the prize if you don't play the game or whatever that
Yeah.
saying is,
I
got
like
to
that.
be in it to win it or whatever. Yeah, so I really have high hopes because it is a great book. There's some amazing authors in there, and like you said, you read some of them, so
That's right. Yeah.
some are very different. I tried to make sure I picked things that weren't the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
So people came at very different angles for things like and like you see some it's very feels very true crime and
Hmm.
how I set up the book where it's more true crime-ish type stories are at the beginning. And then as we go through the book, things start to unravel into
Hmm.
like the science fiction, fantasy, fantastical elements of storytelling and people's different takes on what might happen. So yeah, like Stephanie Widowich wrote, and she's actually stayed at the house. We stayed. I was there when she stayed there. She has
Right.
two poems in the anthology,
Hmm.
and so she has one, Menstruate a Murder, right? So that's her interpretation because she was there when that tour guide told us about the bloody rags in the basement and stuff.
Wow.
So that inspired her to the
Wow.
big rage. Yeah. So, like with Lizzie Borden, why I say she's probably not at the house, like her spirit or whatever. Well, first
Hmm.
of all, she hated them, so she wouldn't be there hanging out with them. I feel like they are there, the parents. After the murder, Lizzie and her sister inherited all the money, of course, and
Wow.
then Emma took off and like went to live somewhere else. And then Lizzie bought a beautiful mansion down the street called Maplecroft. I've never been inside Maplecroft. I still don't think it's open for tourists. They keep
Okay.
trying to rezone it and stuff, and there's issues with the town. I don't know why. It'd be a simple money maker for everyone, but
I know that's
anyway,
right. Yeah, you're right about
yeah.
that.
So I peeked in the windows. So anyway, so Lizzie, once once she out of her parental clutches, she was hanging out with a lot of actors and stuff and
Hmm.
having wild, crazy parties like a real person. And there's talk that she had a girlfriend called Nance. Who was a famous actress in her day. So there's speculation that she and Nance were actually like lesbian lovers, and other people say they
Right.
were just friends. And then there's speculation that Lizzie and her maid were lovers, and then other people just friends. But why did the maid leave? And was the maid in cahoots with Lizzie and to kill the bat parents? And yeah, there's all these different things, theories. We'll
Right.
never know any of them. But anyway, so I think, Lizzie's probably her spirits at Maplecroft, where she was happy, not at the house where people keep trying to bring her in with mediums and the crystal balls. It's like,
I
get
know
out.
that's right. Yeah, well, you guys definitely have a very good mix of authors and poets having their own unique twist, like I said, on the case itself. So definitely kudos and definitely can't wait to finish the book myself. So
Thanks.
absolutely.
Thanks.
But with that being said, Safar, I always like to ask my guests, what lit a fire under your ass to become like an author and a freelance editor for over 10 years? Did you get inspiration? What was your passion that made you pursue it?
Well, as a writer, I've always been a writer. I've always, since I was a little kid, could hold a pencil. I loved fairy tales. My parents were teachers, and they had all these great fairy tale books of the real fairy tales, like with Cinderella hacking off her feet, and the bloody horse heads on the walls and stuff like this. So it's dark, and but I was raised in the '60s, so it was a dark time for literature. Like anything went back then. And but my gateway drug into wanting to be a horror writer myself
Hmm.
was when I was a teenager. The Shining came out. That's Stephen King was like new on the scene when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And so I sat and read The Shining, and I wouldn't leave my room till I finished that damn book. I was terrified. I could not, like, my
Wow.
parents would be coming in, go out and play, I was like, no, I gotta read this book. It's too scary. I gotta know how it ends.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I read that book in 2 days.
Wow.
And then when I shut that book, I'm like, oh man, when I grow up, I want to be a horror writer and scare the hell out of people like Stephen King just scared the hell out of
I
me.
know that's right. He is truly the king, literally the king of horror.
He is.
Yes,
Oh my
beyond.
God.
Yeah.
He just has a way. Even his crappiest books are pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah, he just has a way with sucking you. It's like popcorn or that. You just read that first sentence and you just want to keep reading and reading. I don't know what magic he has, but he's just an amazing, storyteller. And
He is
whether it's horror or mystery, or he dances in a few genres these days, and he's just amazing. Yeah, yeah.
truly one of the
So
greatest.
yeah, so he was my gateway drug, like the serious, this is the moment, the light bulb moment. Yeah.
Definitely, truly
And
one of the greatest.
for editing, it's just I like to read, and I am one of those people, like I'd probably make a good continuity person on a film set too. I just somehow notice all the things, you know. So I especially love developmental editing because
Oh,
I just
wow.
can help people shape and, oh, you don't need this, you need this, so yeah, I've edited over 1,000 books over the last, 20 years or whatever.
I hear
And
that. Wow.
it's a day
Wow.
job, right?
Yeah, I bet. I'm telling you. Yeah.
So I do that. And then, I'm also a tarot card reader at parties. So last night I was actually 3 days in a row. It's like, oh, my
Oh,
brain's
wow.
everywhere right now. That's just a little part-time way we all have to earn a living, right?
I
And
know. Yeah.
I'm
I have
not
a
a,
day job. Yeah, I have a day job. I hear you with that. Trust.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I try to do jobs I actually like, but I've had like 60 jobs in my life or something. So if I don't like something, I just move on to something else.
That's
I've been,
true. You're right about that. I know. Yeah, same here. Again, I understand that we do need to work to support ourselves to pay the bills, but if you're not happy with something or you simply want to change, just do it. Exactly. Because
yeah,
we're spending
yeah,
majority of our time, like 8 or 9 hours, just doing it. Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Like
absolutely.
retail at Christmas time, I've done my time with that. And
I
it's
know
like,
that's right. Yeah, trust me. Trust. So we only have a few minutes left, Sephora.
yeah.
Do you have any tips or pointers for writers in general or just those who want to break in writing?
So, I also teach.
Mhm.
So my advice to new writers is write, 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 keep writing, write what you love. Don't write to market, don't write to, I
Right.
mean, if you see a call for an anthology, oh, we need ghost stories. Yeah, like a ghost story, but don't think, oh, everybody likes the specific thing of the specific. By the time you get your book written and out, everyone's on a whole new ball game. Like
Right.
just write what you love, write what
Mhm.
you know, right? And as for breaking in, just keep submitting stuff. Submit, submit, submit. Um, now we're in interesting times because I came from the traditional world and I watched all the evolution of things. If you're going to self-publish, and these days it's super embraced, and people
Yeah.
are making a killing. Not me, but some people are making a killing self-publishing. And it seems like the magic elixir with self-publishing is to put out stuff a lot because
Yeah.
people don't know who you are. You don't have the backing of a big publisher. And if you're self-publishing, get an editor. That's mostly what I do is editing people who are self-publishing. That's kind of what I'm doing these days.
That's right.
Um, and yeah, so get your editors, your development editors, copy editors, and all that. Pay for a good quality book cover if you're self-publishing, and go to conventions. They're super expensive, I know, but that's how like I said, there was that Nikon. Nikon still exists, but now it's in Vermont or somewhere. You can look it up.
Mhm. Right.
And that's an amazing because, like I said, it's like summer camp for horror writers. So it's more casual, and you shoot the shit with people, and you play games, mini golf or whatever, and just really good bonding. Then there's the major conventions like Stoker Con.
That's right.
This year, I think we're expecting about 1,000 people. It used to be World Horror Con. Now we have Stoker Con. That is an amazing place. The main hotel right now is sold out, but it's downtown Pittsburgh this year, so there's tons of hotels. Most people are staying in alternative hotels. But if you can get to Stoker Con, you got 1,000 horror writers in the same place with the same ideas. Everybody has syndrome, and everybody's like, "I'm an introvert. I can't leave my room." We're all introverts together.
Yes, as writers as we have to be, absolutely. No, but thank you
Yeah,
very much, Sephora. I do definitely do appreciate that. Yeah, and the Stoker Con is, I know, next year in Pittsburgh, absolutely. Real quick, do
yeah.
you want to let them know where they can find you and the book and everything? Any?
Yes, yes. So the Lizzie Borden House Anthology is on Amazon and I believe other places. I haven't quite looked to see where else she's put it. You can also find it on the Riverdale Avenue Books website. And actually, I have a few other books with Riverdale Avenue Books. You can grab one of those too. My Witch Upon a Star series, which takes place in a town like Salem, but I don't call it Salem, but it is Salem.
Right.
And and yeah, I'm on Instagram, Sephera Giron. I don't really talk about Facebook 'cause that's more like Facebook's old school. Um,
Yeah.
I'm on YouTube. I'm gonna try and get more active on my YouTube and yeah, Substack. Yeah, find me on
Okay.
Substack, sephora.substack.com. Yeah, if,
Okay.
I'm pretty easy. Just if anyone has questions, just pop me an email, sephgiron@gmail.com.
Okay.
I'm pretty approachable.
I
I
do
think.
appreciate
I don't
it.
know. I might be scary. I don't know.
Oh, please. No, you're fine. We all horror writers. Yeah, we have to be. But thank you again, Sephora. Thank you for joining me in
Oh,
my loft. And thank you guys, everyone, for joining and hanging out with us. And I will see you next time.
yeah. Thank you so much. This was great.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Very welcome. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're very welcome. Bye, everybody.